We have some new developments tonight in the shooting death of 17-year-old Trayvon Martin. The case against George Zimmerman is off to a rocky start already. During a brief status hearing today, Circuit Judge Jessica Rexseidler told the court she may have to recuse herself because of a conflict of interest. Her husband is an attorney, and one of his partners helped connect Zimmerman with his new lawyer, Mark O'Mara. A decision on whether she will stay on the case is likely before Zimmerman's bond hearing next Friday. For now, he remains behind bars. Paul Callan is a former prosecutor and criminal defense attorney who has been following this story for us. And Sonny Hostin is a CNN legal analyst. Paul, first things first, is this a conflict of interest? Does the judge have to step aside?
I don't think it's an automatic conflict of interest for her. It really depends on what the consultation consisted of. You notice she has not recused herself from the case. She said to the lawyers, please submit papers on this issue, and she'll consider their claims. Now, if both sides like her and want to keep her on the case, then she may opt not to get off the case. And it really will come down to, what did Zimmerman say to her husband's law partner? Did he talk about the case substantively, or was it just sort of a brief conversation where they didn't get into the facts? So we don't know enough yet really to know whether she must recuse herself, but obviously she doesn't think she has to.
Sonny, you had a fascinating interview with the brother of the victim here, and the family must be watching absolutely every single turn of this case and weighing it. Is this good? Is this bad? Is this right? Is this wrong?
Well, sure. I mean, and they're a lovely family, and I've met with them several times, and they're not watching everything because there's great sadness there, and I think it's hard for them to watch everything. But I think what's fascinating about the interview that I had with Javaris, Trayvon Martin's brother, is that I wanted to get more insight into who Trayvon Martin was, his temperament, because there were all these allegations that he sort of came up from behind and attacked George Zimmerman.
Let's play a little clip from your interview so we can hear what he had to say.
When you found out what happened, the details of what happened, how did you feel?
Confused. Everything I heard was from Zimmerman's perspective, and it didn't sound like my brother at all. You know, my brother attacked him and did all this stuff. It doesn't sound like him at all. He wasn't confrontational or violent.
It seems like so much of this is going to come down to this question of self-defense or the stand your ground law. Paul, talk me through this a little bit, because I still don't feel like it's clear to me what the difference is. And we've got some bullet points here. If we're talking self-defense anywhere in the country, what are we talking about?
Well, fundamentally, in all of the states in the country that have just a standard self-defense law, if you're in fear of serious physical injury, or you're in fear that some kind of a serious felony is going to be committed against you, and you don't have the ability to retreat and call the police.
And you're not involved in a felony yourself.
Well, yeah, you can't be the initial aggressor. You can't be the person who started the problem. Then, in that situation, you can use deadly physical force to protect yourself. That's the rule in most states.
If we bring this up full screen so you can see this again and look at the self-defense thing, the key here is in the stand your ground law, that last line there, you don't have a duty to retreat at the end. Sonny, do you think this really is what this case is going to be about, or is this going to be more of a simple claim of self-defense, which it seems like what the defense is going to go for?
No, I think very, very much so this is going to be about stand your ground, and I think it's very much so going to be about the first aggressor, because if you look at the affidavit here, it is clear that the prosecution's theory is really based on the fact that they believe that George Zimmerman profiled Trayvon Martin, followed him, and confronted him. They have completely disregarded George Zimmerman's version of events, which is he was retreating, he was walking away, and he was attacked, and he had to stand his ground and defend himself. So I think it's going to be very fact-specific, but I think it's going to be very much about stand your ground.
That has nothing to do with...
You and I were looking at this affidavit yesterday. Yes. We went through here, and one of the things that I was sort of struck by is that there aren't a lot of details about why they think he kept following him. It's nothing but them saying he did.
Well, it's supposed to be very bare bones. It's an affidavit.
I found it to be extremely disturbing in terms of its lack of detail. You know, a lot of times
that kind of lack of detail.
Please let me finish. Okay.
You know that.
A lot of times the police say, we know you did it, you're a criminal. And generally these affidavits are for the purpose of saying to a judge, we have reason to believe that, and these are the reasons. That's what an affidavit is supposed to spell out.
You don't buy that, son.
All this affidavit spells out is general theories.
Let me just say this.
The only witness is the mother.
It's very clear that a judge found that there was probable cause in this case. in reviewing this affidavit. And if you look at the second page, it says the facts mentioned in this affidavit are not a complete recitation of all the pertinent facts and evidence in this case, but only are presented for a determination of
So let me ask you, Sonny.
They're always
particularly
like
in terms of
this.
the claim in here. The claim in here that he kept following him, that Zimmerman kept following Trayvon, and that he stalked him, as the family described it.
Right.
What do you need in court to prove that? Because right here it's just a statement.
I think you certainly need not only, because Trayvon Martin is no
He's not
longer
around,
with us,
right.
so we won't know his version of events. So you're going to need witness statements, you're going to need forensic evidence. And I suspect that this prosecution team conducted a very thorough investigation and has more evidence than we have seen here. They don't have to put it here, Paul. You know that.
Maybe they didn't put that detail in here, but let me but what if they have a witness out there? They don't want to tip their hand too much about it right now, but they say, I've got a witness who saw him follow.
All right, here's why I don't think that they do, all right? If these prosecutors think that he stalked Trayvon Martin, confronted him, pulled out a gun and killed him, you know what that is? That's premeditated, deliberate murder. That is first-degree murder. So if you stalk and kill first-degree murder, why didn't they charge that? Well, why didn't they charge that? If that's what happened, why didn't they charge it?
That he profiled him, that he followed him,
and he killed him. That sounds like first-degree murder. Why is it not first-degree murder?
During a struggle that ensued, he killed him, and that it wasn't justifiable homicide. That is what they're alleged. They're not alleging.
Why did he stalk him?
Let me ask you both.
First of all, they're not using the word stalk.
For what purpose did he stalk? You used the word stalk. For what purpose did he stalk?
Hold on a second. It seems to me, though, that this is really what this is going to come down to. This is going to come down to, as far as we can tell at this point, a window of whether it's 45 seconds or 2 minutes, where we have one person who is involved, who is living, who said, this is my version of what happened, one person who was involved who did not live, who wound up dead in the process. And so it seems to me the big question is, was there someone else who saw it, who can say, I saw it happen this way? Isn't that key to this whole thing?
Not necessarily. We try, as prosecutors, we try cases all the time without
I understand you do
the victim of a homicide.
I understand you can do that on forensic evidence, but what forensic evidence would answer that question?
There's been an autopsy, again, so I suspect there'll be evidence there. We know that someone was on the phone with Trayvon Martin. We have 911 calls here, or there are 911 calls here. There are several witnesses to this incident. And again,
you're talking about hearing witnesses?
Yes, hearing witnesses. There are some eyewitnesses, is my understanding. And again, we don't know everything. We shouldn't know everything, right? We should know everything. I suspect that there is more to this investigation.
What we do
know. We're running out of time here, so last question quickly. Is he going to get bail?
Well, I think probably he will get bail. The question is, will he be able to make the bail? And I also think that, in the end, we still don't know what the facts are in this case. And to stake out a position that Zimmerman is guilty based on what we know, it's premature to do that. I want to see what they have.
I don't think
and frankly, there's no evidence in this. There's no evidence in this affidavit.
I think we're going to be talking about this case a great deal. Sonny, Paul, thank you both for getting here on really what is a terribly, terribly serious case, as interesting as it is in so many, many ways. You can see more of Sonny's interview with Trayvon Martin's brother coming up at the top of the hour on AC 360. Do not miss that.